Ba-dum-bum-bum, ba-dum-bum-bum, ba-dum-bum-bum-bum-bum-bum-bum. What's happening, everybody? My name is Yestin. Welcome back to another video. So I've been wanting to talk about fashion design for a little bit now, which is a little bit funny because this is coming from the guy whose sense of fashion is wearing a hoodie with sweatpants and Air Jordans. But I don't need to have my own fashion to be able to talk about it, right? Fashion design is a subsect slash category of product design, which product design is therefore like a sub part of industrial design. They're all interconnected. Now, there's a difference between apparel design and fashion design. Apparel design would lean more towards graphic design because that's like designs on stuff. So like if I was to put like a logo or just like some kind of like pattern or design on like say a plain hoodie, that's apparel design. Fashion design is pretty much the designing of clothing. So instead of making a basic hoodie, literally taking the whole idea of a hoodie and trying to make it different, like changing the form and the shape of said hoodie. Now, like I said, I've been wanting to do a video on fashion design for a little bit. I think I mentioned in the last video that I have a list of video ideas, and this has been on there for a while. And finally, something happened to give me a reason to talk about it. The Met Gala 2022. I don't keep up with this stuff. Personally, I'm not the kind of guy to really get into celebrity business or just celebrity stuff. Like I'm not huge on like following celebrities and being in that culture. And these events that they have, like the Oscars, the Grammys, the AMAs, the Met Gala, I don't care for that kind of thing. But this presents itself a good opportunity to talk about the design of this clothing, because some of these celebrities and the designers, they really get into it to make some really extravagant pieces. So I thought that it'd be a great idea to actually take a look at some of these. And like I've already seen a few pieces that show up like on the news and stuff. Some of them look kind of interesting, and as a designer, like completely from like a design perspective, I think some of these are pretty cool. So I kind of want to check some of them out. So before I get into this list, I want to make known, I don't know what the intentions behind any of these pieces were. I don't know what the designer's mindset was. I don't know what their explanations for these were. I'm going to judge this myself based on what I can see, and then I'm going to make deductions based on what I'm looking at. So I'm pretty much just going to give my opinion of what I think was the intention, just from what I can see from the details. So without further ado, let's take a look at some extravagant celebrity art pieces. I inhaled it. I inhaled it. Oh, I'm an idiot. So first and foremost on this lineup of Met Gala outfits, we are looking at Blake Lively's dress that was made by Versace. And this is one of the only ones that I actually saw on the news or on a clip somewhere, I think. This one is really cool to me. Like, I'm not the kind of guy that like I said, I'm not huge on the fashion, so I don't push into that realm whatsoever. But this looks really awesome, and looking at it, it's very obvious that it's like a brown rustic, like coppery texture. And I kind of like that, like if you look at the top, it looks kind of like more matte slash satin, while near the bottom it's a lot shinier and more brown. The top, like the more satin part, looks a little bit more pink. And then you can look up towards the top of the dress, you can see like a bit of like a very light foam mist green. That's because when this dress opens up, it's a lot more green. So it's very clear to me that it's been inspired by copper. Perhaps the Statue of Liberty was the intention. You could also probably make that assumption because of the like tiara, crown, headband thingy that she's wearing, and then the earrings. That's probably the realm of where inspiration was being taken, but it definitely has a copper influence, because copper, as it oxidizes, it slowly starts to turn more matte, less shiny. The color slowly starts to become more dull, and then it eventually fully oxidizes to become that misty foam looking green. The whole idea behind the oxidizing copper look, I don't know what it is, the flowiness, it's a very nice piece. I actually really like it. It's fantastically done. Next, we have this native inspired dress. Now, I think her name is pronounced Quana. Perhaps Quana Chasing Horse. She is Native American. From what I understand, she is a model. I've never heard of her before, but I did a little bit of research. She is a model and an activist, from what I understand. So, like I said, she is Native. So her whole outfit is inspired, perhaps either just by general Native American tribe pieces, or perhaps from her own tribe. I'm not going to pretend like I know. So the most comments that I can make is that it looks amazing. It really does. It's a beautiful piece. The jewelry that she has looks fantastic. But I'm going to steer clear of trying to decipher what the meaning could be, given that I'm not sure if it could be something traditional or maybe it's not. I don't know. Next, we have this dress. I think her name is Amber Valletta. Never heard of her, ever. Right off the bat, very gold, very shiny. And the lines that are converging towards the center instantly tell me that this dress was probably inspired by Egyptian royalty, like ancient Egyptian royalty. You know, Cleopatra vibes, that kind of thing. Black, gold. That's instantly where my mind goes. Very interesting. Like I said, a lot of gold. It's like the woman version of what Lil Nas X wore that one time, except he looked like he was from Star Wars, but that's besides the point. So it's kind of funny. This is the portion of the video where I'm scrolling down this list of images of a whole bunch of Met Gala looks, and I'm realizing that well over 75% of this stuff just looks really boring, like pretty much like every other dress or suit or whatever that you can find literally anywhere, but it's just really expensive because it's got some name attached to it. And therefore I go on a little rant. So prepare yourselves for the next part of this video. I guess this leads into my point of I don't get a lot of this. I feel like a lot of fashion design has kind of went into this weird direction. Now, yes, in history, fashion hasn't always been a massive deal. I feel like nowadays that we're in like this era where people are free to be more expressive and not be judged so much by society, that we look back on those times and consider it, say, 1920s fashion, 1930s fashion. You know, we consider those eras of fashion. But looking back in time and just examining history, it's not like many people, the farther back you go, could be so expressive. It's not like it was a very societally accepted thing. So a lot of what would be considered fashion from those eras now was probably just considered normal clothing back then. Note that, say in like the 1800s or whatever, a lot of women wore dresses and a lot of men wore suits and that sort of clothing. Nowadays, everybody could be far more expressive and then of course take inspiration from those eras. But when we look at fashion design, a lot of the things that are considered fashionable, or what are considered revolutions, or just next level fashion, I guess, are coming from these expensive brands and being given to these high-end people that are only being worn once or twice ever. I don't see the appeal. Am I trying to disrespect these fashion designers? Of course not. Fashion design, just like any form of design, is difficult work. It takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of ideas, and it takes just a lot of brain power. It goes into this. Most everyday people cannot afford this kind of thing. They can't really benefit off of any of this. When you look at more everyday people fashion, it's a little bit different. Something that people have to take into account, and this applies to fashion design and a lot of culture in general. Looking at things from history, typically what survived to become a tradition, a piece of culture, a staple in a lot of countries and places and cultures and societies is what happened amongst the peasant people. Look at a lot of street foods, a lot of what are now considered cuisines of certain countries, a lot of what are considered styles of clothing and traditional clothing in a lot of countries were things that were worn by peasants. like me. Yes, we have accounts of what the rich and the elites wore 100, 200, 300 years ago. Of course we do. But to say that most of that became part of the culture, it did not. Because they are not what make up the majority of the people. And I feel like this is going to be exactly the same thing. Is it part of fashion design? Of course it is. All of this stuff is a part of fashion design. But some people blow it out of proportion and think that it's this revolutionary thing that's going to change the field of fashion forever. It's not. Unless some aspects of this are taken and put into clothing that more everyday people could actually wear, it's not going to. You can see this in recent history too. Look at the 90s, look at the 80s. Those styles that were worn by everyday people, like say like the 90s and the early 2000s, the really large baggy jeans, that's what became big and popular. Not whatever the rich people were wearing at these kinds of events. It's just a thing of history. It's not to hate on any of these designers or these pieces. Some of them are a little bit crazy and really out there. And you look at some of them and you really don't fully understand what makes it all that different from, say, like a dress or like a suit that you can find at like a local retailer. They look like they're made of about the same thing. Sometimes they look like they're about the same form. Colors are about the same. And maybe this is because I don't fully understand fashion. But when I think of fashion, this is not what I think of. I think of the things that people are wearing that I'm surrounded by at my own college campus, perhaps in high schools, or just like out and about wherever. I'm thinking of the clothing that the everyday person chooses to use to express themselves. That's what I think of when I think of fashion. I don't think of what the celebrities at the Met Gala are wearing. I don't think of what they're wearing to the Oscars or the Grammys. That's not what I'm thinking of whatsoever, because at the end of the day, as seen in the history of fashion design, that's not what survives. But I don't know. That's just my little rant on fashion design. It's just my opinion. You could all take it with a grain of salt. But if you guys did enjoy my little rant, be sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe, turn on them post notifications, follow me on all my socials. My Twitter, my TikTok, my Instagram, my Twitch. I'm going to try to stream more, a lot more. Follow me on Twitch. I'm definitely going to be trying to stream a lot more. I'm considering making a Discord server again, but I'm not fully sure about that yet. But anyway, wherever you guys are, whenever you guys are watching this video, I hope you have a great, wonderful day. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.
I just wanna fall. 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 I just wanna fall.